All right, guys, here we are with Tac for Filippo from Tactical Manager TV to talk about the future, the immediate future, the Gold Cup roster. Guys, I know it's been a rough time to be a USMNT fan. We all feel it. It's been very discouraging, especially the last 12 months or so. But sometimes you just have to keep looking forward, and that's what we're trying to do here. Tac, we are going to talk about who we think Pochettino is going to bring to the Gold Cup. We did another video on Tac's channel, which may or may not be out already, about who we would bring to the Gold Cup. And this is us together, putting together a 26-man roster of who we think Pochettino is going to bring. And so that's what we're going to do here today. It's not necessarily an easy task, but we're going to do our best. And obviously, guys, let us know in the comments below who you think Pochettino is going to bring, where you agree or disagree with us. Smash the like button, help the video get some traction, and hopefully it'll be a way of looking forward after an abysmal Nations League campaign. How you doing, Tac?
I'm doing good. I think we all have recovered from the Nations League at this point. We have to try to look forward. I understand the excitement being a bit low with this generation right now.
Yeah.
I also think when the World Cup comes around, everyone's going to be excited regardless of how this team is doing, and hopefully they can pull it off. But if they want to get the excitement back earlier, we have to win the Gold Cup.
The Gold Cup, yes.
If you want to win the World Cup, go ahead. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to this Gold Cup because we haven't really brought an A team to the Gold Cup since 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So pre-COVID era. And
that A team included guys like Daniel Lovitz, though.
Yeah, we weren't doing that well. Will Trapp was there? No, or was he?
I think he was, yeah. Jackson Ewell was there.
Oriola was there. I remember that. Oriola was definitely there.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it in that sense of how it's going to go. Now, obviously, we're going to be missing a few players. We'll talk about that throughout the video. But it'll be a fun Gold Cup, and hopefully we win it. And if we win it, I know it's not any indication that this team is back on track just by winning a Gold Cup.
No.
But it can get some of us to hope that we are, at least.
It's a first step towards redemption.
Yes.
You know, we talked about this in your other video too, but nobody should get the summer off. They don't deserve it. Nobody
Besides
should,
Matt Turner, I think he should go do
well,
something.
there's a difference between getting the summer off to rest and getting the summer off to, you know, because your performances have been terrible, right? So we'll see. But yeah, let's pull up. So we're going to do this together. It's a 26-man roster, 3 goalkeepers, 5 center backs, 4 fullbacks, 7 midfielders, 4 wingers, and 3 center forwards. Now, remember, guys, this is not who we would bring. This is who we think Pochettino might bring, right? So that's going to be what we're trying to talk about, and we'll have to agree and put our guys in there together. This is who I think he might bring. Matt Turner, Patrick Schulte, and Zach Steffen. What do you think?
I mean, this is going to be quick, man, because I think those are the 3. He brought those 3 to Nations League, and I know Matt Turner made a mistake against Panama. It was one of the many reasons we lost. We can't blame it on Turner. Like, the whole team was a problem.
Yeah.
But he started him again the next game, and I think
he was also not great in that game too, right?
No, he hasn't been great for quite some time. Like, the question we have to ask ourselves is, like, based on the data we have on Pochettino and the options that we have, is there another one that he would bring? Right? I don't think he's going to bring Cochin, a young prospect for this one. I think it's going to be Matt Turner, Schulte, and Zach Steffen. The question is, will he start Matt Turner? I think that's a better question.
I think he will.
You think he will? I think he could start maybe Zach Steffen. I think it's possible. But in terms of who he will bring, I think those 3 are a pretty safe bet.
Pochettino can be quite stubborn too, right? So if he sees Turner as his number 1, it'll be interesting to see. You know, also Zach Steffen, the problem was even in the last camp, he got injured too before any of the games even started. So, you know, he's not helping his case there. There's a potential that Ethan Horvath finally gets a chance, but Pochettino has not called him up once. So I can't bank on that, right? We can't bank on Horvath being there. It's probably going to be these 3. What about another guy like Matt Fries? He called him up for
January camp.
Cupcake.
He didn't play.
Yeah.
He didn't play in it. So, yeah, and Ethan Horvath, as you mentioned there, I mean, let's say he does bring him. It's not like it's a real upgrade from any of these guys. It's kind of like more or less the same level. And Matt Fries, I think last season he did definitely deserve a shot from his MLS season last year, but Pochettino did bring him in the January camp. We are trying to predict what Pochettino would do. He didn't give him a single minute in January, and he didn't call him up for March. So if we're
Yeah.
going to use the data we have on Pochettino, these three are the ones that are going to come up for the Gold Cup.
There's a name that gets bandied around a lot, and I don't think Pochettino is going to bring him, but some people have brought him up. Jonathan Klinsmann playing in Serie B. According to people, he's playing well. I have not watched him play. I have zero data on Jonathan Klinsmann. Pochettino's not going to call him up because there's no reason for us to think he would. But a lot of people have said, hey, if he's playing well in Serie B, does he deserve a look? I'm guessing you haven't watched him play either, Tac.
I haven't watched. I have no opinion on that. If Pochettino watched him and thinks he's good enough, then bring him. I mean, we're kind of like thin in this position. We're not doing well. But I haven't watched it. I have absolutely no opinion on that.
Yeah, me too. It's like if you bring him, great, I'll watch. But I have no data to comment. That's the problem. All right, let's move on from goalkeepers now. I think that I know we said 4 fullbacks. And I think obviously Dest, Scally, and A-Rob are locks if they're healthy. Let's assume he brings a 4th fullback. I would like him to bring Nathaniel Brown, but all the data says that's not going to happen because Poch is not interested in recruiting. So let's talk about what fullback we think he'll bring instead. Not what we think, but what he thinks. And is there an element here of maybe guys who didn't get a shot in Nations League, either because of injury or whatever, they just weren't selected, will get more of a shot in the Gold Cup? Like, do you think he brings Max Arsene back? Or he brings Marlon Fossey? Or do you think he goes something different with like a John Tolkien or Caleb Wiley? Or, God forbid, Christopher Lund?
Okay, let's try to be rational here, and let's go through the original roster we had for the last one.
Mm-hmm.
For the last roster, he had 23 players, and for fullbacks, he brought Marlon Fossey, he brought Anthony Robinson, and he brought Joe Scally. Keep in mind, Serginho Dest was not available. The question is, would Serginho Dest replace a defender or replace Marlon Fossey? Yeah. We don't know, right? We don't know that. Personally, based on his replacements, once we had injuries of Austin Trusty, Johnny, and Anthony Robinson. So Robinson he replaced with Max Arsene, which is another fullback. And then the other ones, he did not replace him with another fullback. He just replaced with so Trusty was a center back. He could have replaced another center back or another fullback, but he went with midfielders, right? It was Jack McLean and Brian Gutierrez. It's a tricky one. I think Des, Scally, and A-Rob are locks. And then when you go towards the 4th one, John Tolkien wasn't available for the last one. I think he was injured or coming back from injury with Holstein Kiel. Caleb Wiley was also injured. I don't know if he would get a shot at Pochettino. And also keep in mind that in the last roster, he only brought 23 players. This one is 26. So I do think he will bring four fullbacks. The question is,
who?
Yeah, the question is who. Let's go Des, Scally, A-Rob. And then the other one, kind of like we got to flip a coin here. It's probably like Tolkien, Wiley, or Arfston.
Yeah, it's going to be probably one of those 3.
I think he's going to bring Arfston because you already had him there in the last one. I think that's possible.
And started him against Canada.
Yeah, I would say again, it's not what I would do. I just think that he will bring Des, Scally, Robinson, and Arfston, even though I don't think Arfston's even really a fullback at this point. But yeah, that's what I think he'll do.
I guess we're just going on the data that we have, but it's tough because Wiley and Tolkien were both injured in the last camp. So how much does that factor in? I think I can agree with you on Arfston. I think it's probably the safe choice, but I do hope he gives one of the other guys a chance, whether it's Tolkien or Wiley, just not Lund. I'd almost rather have Arfston than Lund.
Yeah, but Lund smiles.
He smiles a lot. Him and Musa are the smile brigade of this national team.
We probably will have Musa there anyway. You don't need another guy that smiles well, like has a nice.
And I also don't think this team's problem is not enough smiling. I think if there's anything, there's too much smiling.
Yeah. I mean, Dwight Schrute said that. What is it? Showing your teeth is a sign of submission.
It is in primates. So
yeah, that's what Dwight Schrute said. So maybe we shouldn't show our teeth anymore unless we're going to bite.
We should let Dwight pick this roster. That would be an interesting video. Like if Dwight Schrute was picking the roster, who would he bring?
Oh my God, that would be a team of fighters.
Yes. Yeah, I think he would just go find anybody he can and be like, whoever, he'd go to like an MMA game and be like, we're taking all of you guys.
It's funny because anyone
Mose
that
would definitely be in the roster.
yeah, and if anyone, Jim wouldn't make the roster for sure.
No,
He would not. But anyone that didn't watch The Office, that's what we're referencing. And if you haven't watched The Office,
check it
you
out.
really missed out. Like it's a really
He
good
would have
TV.
Michael Scott maybe be the coach. Like he
Yeah,
would, even if he was the head coach, he would pick Michael Scott as head coach and make himself assistant to the head coach.
yeah. Michael Scott would be probably as good as Berhalter, though.
He might be even better with his motivational speeches,
Yeah.
Mr. Plump.
Hmm.
Anyways, we won't get into that, but guys, check out The Office if you haven't yet. It's a great show. Center backs. I think it's easy to say Ream, Richards, and McKenzie are probably locks, right, at this point.
For
For
Pochettino,
Pochettino.
yes.
For Pochettino. The question is with the other two. I do think he would bring Cameron Carter-Vickers because he did. Remember, he started 4 center backs in the last Nations League, right? It was Ream, CCV, Richards, and McKenzie. All 4 of them got starts in separate games. And then for the 5th center back, I think he probably goes Miles Robinson. I think there's a chance Miles Robinson would have been in the roster if he hadn't been injured in the Nations League. So I
Yeah,
think because he's picked Miles Robinson for every other camp.
yeah. I think a healthy Miles Robinson probably makes the Gold Cup roster with Pochettino.
Yeah.
That's what I think. And to your point, yes, Ream, and what's his name? Mackenzie should be locks for Pochettino at this point. He did start Carter Vickers, and I think he worked with Carter Vickers in Tottenham before, so probably bring him again. I think it'll be that. I think it'll be Miles, Mackenzie, Ream, Richards, and Carter Vickers. And just checking here, Miles Robinson is back for Cincinnati. He
Yeah, he
played
is.
April 12th. He played the full 90 minutes. So as long as he's healthy by then, I think Pochettino will bring Miles.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. So this is not what we would do, guys. This is just what we think Pochettino's going to do. So that's center backs. Let's go to the midfield now.
Well, wait. That's 5 center backs? Yes, 5. 5 center backs.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
5 center backs. Let's go to the midfield now, and I want to talk first about the guys who are probably locks, and that is Tyler Adams, Johnny Cardoso. I want to say Malik Tillman would be a lock for
With
Pochettino.
Pochettino? You think so?
Hard to say because, look, he's been there in every other camp. He was just injured in this last one. McKennie is going to be out. Now, what's interesting about Gio is Pochettino said earlier that we brought Gio to this camp because we're not going to have him for Gold Cup. But since then, it feels like Dortmund has been like, yeah, Gio can go. So if we're talking about what Pochettino would do we include Gio in this roster? My guess is no.
I'm trying to think because based on what Pochettino would do, you got to remember Weston McKennie won't be in this roster because he's supposed to be with Juventus. So we're moving one midfielder. And we saw McKennie play as one of the playmakers, for example, against or attempt to be a playmaker against what's the name, against Panama. Let me try to rationalize this. Tyler, Johnny, that's 2 that I think will be locks with Pochettino. Diego Luna will be a lock with Pochettino right now.
Yeah.
I think
I
Gio
think Tillman
makes
will
it.
be there. I don't think he's a lock in the sense that for sure. But if you're missing McKennie and probably Gio, then I think Tillman is going to be there.
I think he'll bring Tillman and Gio because when we get to the winger section, it'll be lacking. So he probably will see Luna, Tillman, and Gio as possible also winger options if needed. So I think yes, Tillman, Luna, and Gio will go. Johnny, Tyler. That leaves us with 2 open spots, and I do think he might bring like Tessman and McGlynn.
You don't think Brendan Aronson gets called up again?
Would he be called up as a midfielder or as a winger at this point?
Poch has played him pretty much exclusively as a midfielder.
Well, in that case, we have to include Brendan, but then you have 4 10s, 4 attacking mids. You have Tillman, Gio, Aronson, and Luna.
That is a problem.
Yeah, and then you essentially only have 2 that can play the double pivot, which is Johnny and Tyler. Tillman. I mean, in the Gold Cup, I guess Tillman can easily play in the double pivot if you need in the Gold Cup. So
And
can
he did
Gio.
play there against Jamaica for a spell.
Yeah, so maybe he'll see Tillman as that. What will be the last one? Maybe Tessman then? Aiden Morris?
Seems
Probably.
like Tessman is his guy. Started him against Panama.
So what you think it's going to be Tessman, Gio, Tillman, Aronson, Luna, Johnny, and Tyler?
Yeah. I think
Possible because he'll have also Musa on the wing, and Musa can go to the midfield if you need him to.
yeah. I think that's probably what will happen without McKennie. But I guess we don't know for sure what Pochettino is going to do, but this is our best guess. Paxton Aronson would be nice for him to get a chance, but again, we're doing what we think Pochettino would do. And he's had no indication of liking Paxton Aronson so far. So we're just evaluating based on past behavior, you know.
Yeah, on top of that, we're also assuming Gio won't be with Dortmund in the Club World Cup because they told him to hit the road. They told him to
Yeah.
leave. But he could not be available
if he's not available, that changes things for sure.
Yeah, but let's assume he is because like McKennie right now, it's safe to assume he won't be with us because Juve does have the Club World Cup. But Gio right now, it's safe to assume that he will be with us. So yeah, let's go. Gio, Tillman, Luna, Aronson, Johnny, Tyler, and then Tessman. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Paxton might be left out. McGlynn could be left out in that sense too. Aiden Morris will be left out. There's a lot of not big names, but important players that will be left out. Leonard Maloney doesn't seem to ever get a shot at all. He's not
No.
playing much now for Mainz too, ever since he
No.
moved. They're a
No.
much better team though, so it
Yeah,
makes
they're
sense.
pushing. Are they in top four? Not quite.
Last time I checked, yes, they were fighting for top four. They were even there. They're fighting for a Champions League spot, unlike Heidenheim that was fighting against relegation.
Against relegation, yeah. But he
Um,
doesn't play much. But the thing I like about Maloney is he does have some bite. And I think bite is one of the things this team is lacking. You know, but then again, if you have Johnny and you have Adams, it's like, well, you know, do you really need him? So I'm not like we need to call up Leonard Maloney, you know,
yeah.
but it would be interesting to see if he does call him up. So that's the
Mhm.
midfield. Let's go to wingers now. So you're not going to have Tim Weah there. So Christian Pulisic is obviously a lock. Yunus Musa will be there, whether it's as a midfielder or a winger. I think it's fair to say Haji Wright will be there. So that's probably the three wingers. Now the question would be the fourth one. There's, in my mind, really only two options, and that's Alejandro Zendejas and Griffin Yao.
He never brought Griffin Yao.
He's never brought Griffin Yao. He has brought Zendejas, at least not in these camps, but previously in the fall. So I guess, do we just go Zendejas? Is there anyone else that we're missing out? Taylor Booth hasn't done anything.
I mean, unless he threw unless he threw like Aronson there or Luna or Tillman or Gio, and then he put
Yeah,
another midfielder, which could be then Aiden Morris, it could be McGlynn, it could be Paxton Aronson. Unless he does that, so we don't quite know. I'm like Kevin Paredes is back from injury, but not playing at all for Wolfsburg.
yeah,
Um, it's probably going to be Pulisic, Haji, Musa, and I would assume Zendejas. That's my assumption. I don't
yeah,
think he'll bring Kate. He brought Kate Cow to one of the camps too. I don't think it'll be Kate Cow either. It shouldn't be. So I think it's probably going to be Zendejas, the fourth one.
yeah. Which, to be fair, I'd be fine with. You know, he's at least playing really well in Liga MX, or at least he's putting up numbers in Liga MX.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely not the player we would want there, but not having Weah kind of means you have to go a bit deeper in the depth
Yeah,
chart, and that leaves us with Zendejas. Yeah.
yeah. All right. And now we talk about forwards here. Ricardo Pepi, very unlikely to be there. Just because he's injured, and if he's out for the season, I don't think they're going to risk bringing him, even if he is recovered. I just, I can't see Ricardo Pepi getting sent. Balogun will be back. He will be there. I do think Sargent will be there too. Now, the question is the third striker. Who do we think Pochettino brings? And I think it's probably between Agyemang and Brian White.
Yeah, Brian White has been scoring more in MLS for whatever that's worth, but Pochettino seemed to favor Aguiman with the US, and Aguiman did score for the US in the Nations League
Yeah.
against Canada. Again, we talked about that. It was a poor finish, but it went in. I don't know how much Pochettino values that specifically. So with that said, my guess would be Sergeant Balogun. It's interesting too because Aguiman is one of those guys that makes those runs in behind and you can hit the opponent in transition. More of like how you would utilize Balogun too.
Yeah.
And then Brian White would be like the counter to maybe Sargent, of more of like a not a big man up top, but more of like a different type of hold up center forward. Maybe actually can't do that either. So it's just bring Sargent, Balogun in a really, really, really big cone. Just do that, and you'll be. But jokes aside, I think he'll go Sargent, Balogun, and I think he'll bring Aguiman.
I think so too. I think he's shown more favor to Aguiman, so I think he will continue to do so. So yeah, that's the roster that we think Pochettino will bring. He could surprise us. We're still figuring out Pochettino's preferences. I think he's still figuring out the playing pool also, the player pool. And I think he'll probably bring some guys to Gold Cup that maybe we don't expect, or even guys that he's never called up before. But Poch, your number one guy you need to be talking to is Nathaniel Brown. So get out of Atlanta, get on a plane, go to Frankfurt, watch him play, take him out to dinner, recruit. Just saying what you should do here, Poch, not what we know you're probably not going to do. So,
yep. Yeah.
Anyways, guys, this is the roster that we are predicting on Tac's channel. Like I said, we're doing the roster that we would bring. So go check that out as well. Definitely make sure you hit the like button before you leave. Leave a comment about what you think in the comments below. And hopefully we will have a good summer, a good Gold Cup to look forward to. I know the season's kind of starting to wind down now, but we do have not only the Gold Cup, but interesting friendlies against Switzerland and Turkey to look forward to, and then hopefully a good, solid Gold Cup run. So fingers crossed. Hopefully this team can bring some redemption back and so restore just a smidgen of pride. Thanks for watching. As always, guys, I'll talk to you soon.